Good morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. I'm Esther.
And I'm Melanie.
And today we're talking about storytelling for marketing.
Yep, it's an essential part of everyday life, certainly for marketing. And as a marketer, you have to consider lots of different things when you're doing your storytelling. How often you do it, why you should do it, where you should do it, and positions of engagement. And of course, analysing your performance.
Yes, definitely. So how often do you do it, Melanie?
Well, I probably should do more storytelling than I currently do, in fairness. I guess I've kind of dropped the ball recently because I've been staying at home quite a bit more. But my strategy going forward is to improve on my storytelling, not just through the medium of blogs, which is what I do considerably more than anything else, but also storytelling on videos and preferably on lives as well. I mean, what about you? How often do you do it?
Like yourself, not very often at all, not as often as we should. Okay, so a lot of people think that there's a magic number and that, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, it's entirely up to your business and what you actually need to be doing and where you need to be doing it, because that's another point we're going to be talking about. But an important issue is why we should do it at all. Like, what benefit is it to tell people stories or tell our story in an interesting way?
Well, obviously, the first thing it does is help your business grow. That's why everybody should do it at least 2 or 3 times a week. By doing proper storytelling throughout the week and not just leaving it for the weekends, which I know, frankly, we have a lot more time because obviously, well, hopefully we're not seeing clients during the weekend or doing too many Zoom calls, which would be disaster, certainly for me, because I need the time with my family. But the hope is that by doing proper storytelling, you're not just encouraging people to visit your website, you're encouraging people to understand you better, what makes you tick. We're more than just a face or a logo on our website. Speaking as a solopreneur, I don't have staff. I probably should do greater exposure because frankly, all I'm doing at the moment is just talking about my services. If I talked about myself and gave a more finite explanation of what I do and why I do it, what the passion is behind my business. I mean, very few people know my story.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the case with a lot of people. Most people just go into business and think, okay, it's a business. It's has to be straight down the line. It has to be, there's no weaving in and out. There's no chance of, talking about family in business. There's no need for it. There's no need to be so open or so, honest about things. I was listening to a podcast the other day about imposter syndrome and how many people have it or have had it and don't mention it at all because they think, oh, if I mention it, they're going to think I'm weak, or they're going to think XYZ. They're going to think that they can't come to me because I obviously don't know what I'm doing, because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, even though you might be the most educated and prepared person in the world. There's that stigma about some things that you feel that you can't tell your story about.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, you just reminded me of something to do with storytelling. I did a talk last year at Blanchardstown for the Leo Fingal, down here. And I did a talk on imposter syndrome, and I spent the next 2 months having the busiest 2 months of my time of year ever.
Wow.
Purely because I showed my vulnerability.
Yeah. And that's the thing about storytelling. It doesn't have to just be how great you are and how wonderful you are and how fabulous you are and how many clients you've helped. You can also show your weaknesses by saying, I don't know about this. And then people will come alongside you and help you out, and, you'll feel so much better about it as well. I'm not saying just, to go out and complain about stuff.
No.
That's not what storytelling is.
But part of the storytelling is not just admitting the weakness, it's also giving up the solution and how you worked around it or improved things or overcome your issue. And I know it doesn't sound like it's the best marketing in the world, but it humanizes the brand.
Yeah.
And that's what people buy from. And even more so now because we are feeling a lot more vulnerable. Both my husband and I both work from home like everybody else at the moment. And it's quite normal now because he's got the printer in his office. It's quite normal for one of us, me or the kids, to go in the background, pick something up we've printed, especially in the mornings when the kids are doing school. So absolutely, it's being honest, being authentic, and
Yes.
if you can
Yeah.
tell a story doing that, even better.
Yeah. And especially going back to the point where you said about showing how you overcame it. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are going through something that we've already been through or that our listeners have already been through, but they haven't come to the light at the end of the tunnel yet. And it could seem very dark and very, it could be something really, in a way, simple. It doesn't have to be a deep and meaningful, oh, I have a huge, big problem, but it can be something that you just can't find the answer to. And having a post, seeing a post come up on Facebook or on Instagram, or this is one of the other things we're going to talk about, where to post your stories. Having it even on a story inside Facebook, Instagram, etc., it could give somebody that hope of just going, I'm not alone. Somebody else has done it and come through. Or if you haven't come through it yet, somebody else could come alongside and go, oh, well, this worked for me. Try this, do this, and it could be something not related to business at all.
Oh no, absolutely. You're well on point there when it comes to where you should do it, because it can be through YouTube, it can be through Facebook stories. I think they're neglected far too much. Facebook stories. People always remember Instagram stories, but they neglect Facebook stories. And I found I'm getting more and more reach and more views on my Facebook stories than I ever had before. Again, probably because we're in lockdown, which is a lot to do with it.
Could help, yeah.
Yeah, but it's something to watch. But then when it came to like positioning of the engagement, I think that would be storytelling is quite long-winded at times in that you can't expect instant gratis, instant results, it isn't. We don't work that way. We're not wired that way. So it's a journey, isn't it?
Definitely. Definitely. And you can't just come out from nowhere or having not posted for 2-3 years and go, hey, this is me. This is what I do. This is why you should come to me. Whenever people are like, what? Who are you again? We don't remember who you are. So remind them, oh, remember when I talked about this? Or remember whenever, like in Melanie's case, when she was saying there about I spoke at X event or this place or the other place, maybe they'll remember you from there and go, yeah, that's where I saw her lovely face before, So give them a reason to remember you as well.
Yeah.
Don't be controversial, though. Try not to be controversial.
Well, although that does help with the story, it helps you get remembered, but you don't have to be.
No, I mean that could get you remembered for the wrong reasons. Okay, so we don't need to have to come in and spin stories just to make people look better. Just your story should be open, honest, straight. Straight from your heart as well. I mean, heart sells.
Oh, and then finally, analysing your performance. Now, by doing this, I was actually talking to somebody earlier on about likes being a metric that shouldn't really be measured. It's a vanity metric at the end of the day. What you should really analyse is engagement and conversion. And conversion can be in lots of different ways. It could be bums on seats at an event, buying tickets, joining a webinar. It could be downloading something from a website or downloading an app. Help me out here. What other things could it be engagement wise?
It could be your views on the different on your blogs, for example, checking through your analytics. Shares are almost better than likes because that way then more people are getting to see it. But yeah, definitely the clicks and the downloads are where it's at. Okay, people might not want to click like on some stories. It might open them up to vulnerabilities. Again, I was talking to somebody earlier on that her line of work is a minefield. Okay, and people don't want to admit that they're going through that problem. So that she'll not likely receive many likes on her posts or anything, but if she can analyze her clicks and analyze her downloads and analyze even her email responses, and people sending emails going, thank you, needed that, that was great. That's more valuable than any likes in the world.
Or subscribers to your email, or people subscribing to your YouTube channel, let's say.
Yeah.
Because essentially, once they've subscribed, it means they've gone from cold to warm, and they're a hell of a lot easier to convert than cold people. That's absolutely
definitely.
sure.
Definitely. But yes, stories do help you sell in a roundabout way. It's not a magic bean either. Okay, we always have to put the work in. There's nothing that we're telling you here on these podcasts that are magic. Just use the ones that work for you and you'll see results.
So if you've got any comments about this podcast, do send us a message. You'll find us on all social media, and do check out our website.
Thanks. We'll be back next week for more. Bye-bye.